Hello reception, how are you? I hope you're keeping happy and safe inside your home. So, this week we have been looking at the story Nobot, and I was reading the story in my classroom and I noticed the rabbit in his bottom floating in the water. Can you say that with me? Floating, floating. Do you know what floating means? Stop the video and have a think. What does floating mean? Off you go, stop the video. So, what does floating mean? Floating means it sits on the top of the water. And the opposite of floating is sinking, which means if I put it in the water, it's going to sink right to the bottom of the box. So, we're going to imagine that at the end of the story, Bebot didn't find his bottom, and that we've got the challenge of making him a new one. I want you to look around your house and grab as many materials as you can, and we're going to see which one would make the best bottom. So, stop the video and go and get all of your materials now. You can pick whatever you like, but just make sure it's something that you don't mind getting wet. So don't put your mum or dad's phone in the water because it may break. Or a remote control, yeah, that's banned too. Or a book, because it might get really wet and destroyed. But everything else, go and get creative. Stop the video. Have you got all of your materials? I've got all of mine. Random things I found around my classroom. So, what we're going to do is one by one, we're going to put the object in the water and we're going to see if it floats or if it sinks. Mr. Bebot wants a bottom that floats on the water. So we need to make sure that our material that we use floats. Are you ready? Okay. Come and have a look and see if the materials float or sink. Our first one. Did it float or sink? I definitely think that one has sunk to the bottom. Our next one. It has sunk to the bottom. Before I put this object in, have a guess. Do you think it's going to float or sink? Let's see. What's it doing? It's floating. What about this one? Do you think it's going to float or sink? Okay, let's see. Is it floating or is it sinking? It's floating. What about this one? Do you think it's going to float or sink? It has sunk right to the bottom. And this one? It has sunk right to the bottom as well. And my last one, do you think it's going to float or sink? Okay, let's see. It has floated on top of the water. So what I want you to do is stop the video and test all of your objects in your water. Do they float or do they sink? Test your objects now. So, have you tested all your objects? We're going to take them out. You might want to get a little piece of paper to absorb all of the water, or a tea towel because you might get your table very wet. And we're going to sort them into float and into sink, because we don't want an object that sinks to be the material we use for his bottom. Okay, so I have my objects that sunk and my objects that floated on top of the water. These are what I can think about using when building a new bottom for Bebot. Now you've got your final challenge. I want you to use the materials that you know can float on top of the water and make a new bottom for Bebot. Take a picture of it and put it on Tapestry, and I can't wait to see all your fantastic observations. Keep smiling and I hope to see you soon. Bye!